A common question we get from prospective clients is that they say, I've been running my Facebook campaigns for a long time. I see tons of conversions in the platform, but I don't see them in GA4 and they're not in my CRM either. So what's going on? Where did all my conversions go? And unfortunately, the case is usually that Facebook is just claiming credit for conversions that it didn't generate by itself. Some other platform had a bigger hand, and that's what GA4 and your CRM are giving credit to. All of this comes down to the attribution model that you're using in your Facebook ads account. So in this video, we want to talk through the different attribution models you can use in Meta ads and see how you can see the performance for each regardless of whichever one that you're using. So for this walkthrough, we're going to be in a client account. Some things are going to be blurred out, but you'll still be able to understand everything that we need to know about Facebook attribution settings. So first, I want to start by creating a brand new campaign because you'll see how you can control the attribution settings during that process. We're just going to come over here and click Create. I'm going to create a leads campaign because that's the one that I typically use the most. I'm going to use a manual leads campaign for kind of the same reason. And now I have my brand new leads campaign set up. Currently on the campaign settings tab, and you can see here that this has nothing to do with attribution, because even though attribution is usually a pretty high priority thing and relatively consistent across a business, Meta Ads does not have this at the campaign or account level. All attribution settings are going to be done at the ad set level for every single campaign that you build. Now there's a couple things that will dictate which attribution settings we can use, and we'll go through those here in just a second, but right at the top, we need to focus on this entire conversion block. I'm going to get rid of some of these warnings. But if we scroll down, we can see here that there are different attribution models right here. So first, it's going to show standard by default, and then incremental is going to be listed down below. Because of the conversion location I have in this ad set, I cannot use incremental conversions as my attribution model. So I'm actually just going to go back up, and instead of website and calls, I'm going to not use website and instant forms or instant forms and messenger. Those also will not work. Instead, I'm going to open up this box that says single and use just website. I'm going to skip over all the errors that come with that, and I'm not going to choose a conversion event. Let's just scroll back down to attribution. And now you can see at the top we have the standard attribution model. But if I open this up, I now have the option to use incremental conversion attribution for this. Now the standard attribution setting effectively means what has always run in Meta Ads. Your campaigns, or at least this ad set within it, is going to optimize your ad delivery based on the selected time windows and engagement types within your attribution settings. This means it's going to count all of the conversions that are included in here. And incremental, on the other hand, means that Meta is going to optimize for those conversions that are incremental because they are predicted to have taken place pretty much because the ad was shown. They were caused by an ad, not something that could have happened otherwise. Now, I'm not going to get too far into incremental attribution because we do have another video that covers that. You can watch that at the top of the screen right now. But just for the purposes of this video, know that you can use standard attribution or incremental based on the one that makes the most sense for you. If you have very high conversion volume in your account and you really want to know the impact that Meta is having on your advertising, incremental might be the right fit for you. But if you've got lower conversion volume or you just want to have Meta on the same track as other ad channels, standard is probably going to make the most sense. And just as a pretty blanket rule, majority of you are going to benefit mostly from standard attribution. Now you'll remember that standard attribution talks about time windows and engagement types. So they leave that in there, but then they don't actually tell you where those live. And if anything, they kind of hide them because they are in the show more options down here. Now there's a message about engaged views. We'll talk about that here in just a second. But the other controls you have around attribution are going to be in this attribution settings piece. So I'm just going to click on edit. And now here's where we get those time windows and engagement types that it was talking about. For engagement types, we have click-through conversions, meaning somebody saw and clicked on your Meta ad, whether it was on Instagram or Threads or any of the Facebook placements. That user actually clicked on your ad. The engaged view is for videos only. If we hover over this, you can see that these engaged views are counted when a video is played for at least 10 seconds or 97% of its total length if shorter than 10 seconds was played. Now this is a definition I've seen conflicting views for. This one says 10 seconds. I've seen 5 seconds elsewhere. But effectively what this means is that for videos, somebody saw anywhere from 5 to 10 seconds or 97% of your video before moving on. This is Facebook's way of trying to create a view-through conversion with some sort of legitimacy to it for a video ad, because you can see how long they were on the screen based on how long the video played. And speaking of view-throughs, that's the other option that's down here. And that is basically just when somebody saw your ad but doesn't click on it and then takes the action within the time period you select. So by default, if you were on Facebook and you scrolled past a brand new bike, you saw the ad, you didn't convert, but then later that night you purchased that bike from that company, odds are you're going to get counted in that 1-day view-through conversion window. So those are the conversion types, and that's pretty much how it works, at least for the view-through. The only options you have here are a 1-day view-through or no view-throughs whatsoever. Now, I personally don't like using view-through conversions as a success metric, but I always leave the 1-day view-through action included on the attribution models. And all that comes down to is the amount of data that can be fed into Meta to have its bidding algorithm find more users who are more likely to convert. Now, that doesn't mean that I report on these view-throughs as a conversion for our campaigns to our clients, but I'm still feeding that information to Meta. I'll show you how we parse those view-through conversions apart from the other click conversions here in just a second, but just by default, I always leave this 1-day view turned on. The same is going to be true for the engaged view for the videos. You still have the 1-day view. You can also select none if you want to. For click-throughs, we also have 2 options, but the first and the default date range is going to be the last 7 days. And the only other option we have now is going to be shorter as a 1-day conversion window, meaning somebody clicked on your ad and they converted within either 1 or 7 days of clicking on that ad. By default, you saw here that this was 7, 1, and 1 for click-through, engaged view, and view-through. That is the longest attribution window you can use on Meta, and personally, I always leave it set up just like this. Aside from the settings themselves, the only thing you need to know is that you cannot change attribution settings for an ad set once it's been published. So make sure whichever one you use is the one you're probably going to want to use long term, because if you wanted to change it, you're going to have to recreate that ad set and launch it with all new data. Now, as I mentioned, I always leave my attribution settings in this longest date range. And I think that you should too, because you don't have to turn these attribution settings to a different level to be able to see the performance with those other windows. Let me show you how we do it. I'm back on the campaigns tab for this account, and as you can see, we have a couple different campaigns running, and we've got some conversions here. We have a combined conversion number, which is going to show up in this column. We also then have a get a quote and a handoff. And if you'll do some quick math, the sum of these two is the combined conversion. So just so happens that the combined conversion is what we optimize toward. Then we still want to see the breakouts of them, so I leave them pretty easy to see here. But now to compare the performance of these different attribution models, we just have to add in a few more columns. To do that, we just need to come up to Column Editor, go down to Customize Columns, and then just above where my mouse ended up is going to be a Compare Attribution Settings button down here in the bottom right. If I click on this, now you can see a checkbox next to each of the different levels that we were able to select in the settings. So a 1-day click, 7-day click. They actually still have a 28-day click in the performance metrics section. 28-day click used to be the default range, but it recently got shifted to 7 days, but I always add 28 days just because I'm curious. We can then add the 1-day view, 1-day engaged, and we've got everything included here. If you want to, you can check the box next to incremental attribution, which basically means that if you left your campaign set up as standard attribution, Meta will still show you the performance of the incremental attribution model. So again, standard captures the most conversions, but you can still see and report on incremental if you want to. And in that same vein down here below, you can also adjust the conversion count. If you're familiar with the Google Ads conversion setup, think of all conversions versus first conversion as an every versus one. All conversions means that you're going to see the performance for every single conversion that happened after that view or that click. And first conversion means you're only going to see the first one that happened after that view or click. Just for the sake of being able to see everything all in once, we'll check the box next to every single one of these, click apply, then click apply one more time. And now we'll be able to see all these performance metrics. So if I scroll over just a bit, let's get into this combined conversion here. All right, it's going to take us all the way over there. Yeah, we got a lot of conversion numbers. So this combined conversion number, we had 8 and 20 for each of these campaigns. Here you can see the one-day view of all conversions compared to the one-day view of first conversions. So obviously a very big difference between every conversion and just the first one. These campaigns don't have any videos available, so there is no one-day engaged view for either of those. It's just because there's no videos in here. Then we can see the one-day click, all versus first, 7-day click, all conversions compared to first, 28-day click, all compared to first. And even though the 28-day attribution model is no longer available, it still tracks for those users that it can, because obviously the last 7 days we had 4 users who clicked to convert, but in the last 28 days we had 7. So there's a lot more insight into performance there. And then the last, all the way over here, we have our incremental attribution for all conversions compared to first conversions. So this is how this is going to look, and this is how you'll be able to report on whichever attribution model that you want that makes the most sense for you and your client, while still being able to let Meta have all of the conversion data possible with that standard attribution and the longest look back window for every one of those different conversion engagement types. As an added little bonus, we can also see the CPA numbers for each of these. It calculates those for all of it. And then if I keep scrolling over here, we'll be able to see all these conversion metrics for each of the different custom conversions that we have in here as well. If you had additional metrics that were calculated based on conversion, like conversion rate, all of that would also be calculated based on all of these different attribution windows. And there'd be a new number in each of these columns based on the performance your accounts had. So with that walkthrough, hopefully now you understand your conversion numbers in Meta ads just a bit better and why they either do or don't match up with GA4 or your CRM. But also this hopefully gives you a little bit better insight to understand how your users are engaging with your campaigns and how you can try to optimize them to get the best performance out of them you can. If you have any other questions about Facebook attribution models or anything else in the Meta ads platform, leave us a note in the comments below. Thanks for watching our video. We really appreciate it. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up below. If you really liked it, maybe think about subscribing to the Paid Media Pros YouTube channel and you'll get alerted every time a new video drops.
If you really liked it, you can help support the channel by checking out some of the t-shirts that we're wearing on our merch shelf, as well as looking at the Super Thanks button.